The Fiesta has been a mainstay in Ford and increased Ford's strong position in Europe. Spanning 6 decades and nearly 50 years, the Fiesta has become Britain's best-selling car ever and Ford's third most produced vehicle. Alongside the Focus, Ford has stayed at the top of the UK sales charts, with the Fiesta being one of the most common cars in the country and a staple first car for many, alongside the Polo and the Corsa. However, its relevancy has slipped in the past few years, and it's been succeeded by crossovers such as the Puma and Qashqai. Ford are ending production of the Legend this month, so I thought now would be the perfect time to do a farewell video to the car that has dominated so many markets for so long. The Fiesta was approved for production in September 1972, just after the Fiat 127 and Renault 5 were launched. Ford already had intentions of creating a car to rival the Mini, but production costs were too high during the 60s. The 1973 oil crisis forced the company's hand due to the already rising demand for more economical vehicles. A new factory in Valencia was built alongside other facilities in Bordeaux and an extension at their facility in Dagenham. Ford expected to sell 500,000 of the Super Minis a year, and the first Fiesta to be seen by the public went on display at the 1976 24 Hours of Le Mans. The production started at the end of 1976, and the Fiestas were first available in the UK in February 1977. The setup was standard across the range, an inline-4 and a Ford BC series 4-speed manual gearbox. The engines used were versions of the Ford Kent engine, and the Fiesta had coil spring suspension, which set it apart from its rivals. They had 12-inch wheels as standard, and disc brakes at the front and drums at the back. These were made for ease of service and to make the Fiesta reliable and cheap to run. It was one of Ford's first front-wheel drive models, and Ford had sold 1 million by 1979. In Europe, the Fiesta was available as a van and could be had in 6 trim levels from base to S. In the US, the Escort replaced the Fiesta in 1981. The legendary XR2 version came out in the same year, featuring a 1.6 litre version of the Kent Crossflow engine, and it had impressive performance at the time, with a 0 to 60 time of 9.3 seconds, making it a popular hot hatch. Crayford created a convertible version of the Mark I Fiesta, named the Fiesta Fly. There were few sold due to the impractical nature, as the boot was welded shut. This generation of Fiestas was a success for the brand, as it became the UK's 9th best-selling car in its first year, and was the 3rd most popular car in the country in 1981. It was being outsold by the Austin Metro though, so Ford began developing a follow-up model, which was launched in 1983. The second generation was essentially a facelift of the Mark I. There was a new front end and interior, and the chassis was slightly widened to account for the larger 5-speed gearbox and CVH engines. The XR2 model featured a 1.6 litre CVH engine from the Escort XR3, and it put out 96 horsepower. A 1.6 litre diesel was also launched in 1984, but this sold poorly in comparison with the petrol, due to the small savings on fuel, which didn't outweigh the noisy, unrefined experience and the higher purchase price. The XR2's engine was swapped in 1986 to a lean burn model to reduce emissions, as was the 1.3 litre CVH, whilst other engines were converted to run on unleaded petrol. All models got a 40 litre fuel tank, which increased range by 17%. Ford added the CTX to the lineup, which featured a CVT automatic gearbox, but it was only available with the 1.1 engine, which resulted in few being made. In its first year, the Mark II sold 150,000 in the UK, which meant it was second behind only the Escort. By 1989, the first 2 generations had been produced over 4.5 million times. It was also the first Fiesta to be sold in Japan, albeit under the Autorama name at Ford Mazda dealers, and it sold relatively well as the engine displacement was in a cheaper road tax bracket. The third generation Fiesta was unveiled in late 1988 and went on sale in February 1989. The car was on a new chassis with new rear suspension. The Valencia engines were revised and offered in 1 litre, 1.1 and 1.3 versions, and there were larger CVH engines offered as well. The LT diesel model was increased to 1.8 litres. This generation ran for 8 years, was the best selling Fiesta per year, selling over 1 million within 2 years. The Courier was based on the Fiesta and entered production in 1991. fuel-injected models became available the same year to meet stricter emission regulations. Large-scale changes occurred to the range in 1993 with structural improvements and visual design changes as well. The Mark III continued to be built alongside the new Mark IV, so it was renamed the Fiesta Classic. This version remained in production until 1997. Ford launched more sports models to go alongside the normal range. The XR2i was launched in 1989 with a 104 horsepower CVH engine. The name was dropped in 1994 with the SI badge featuring on a model with a 1.4 CVH or 1.6 CTEC. The RS Turbo was based on the XR2i and had larger 14-inch wheels, grippier tyres, a colour-coded spoiler and a more aggressive bonnet. Inside there were leather Recaro seats and a sportier steering wheel and gear knob. The engine featured an upgraded turbo and intercooler. The car struggled with handling and reportedly had a lack of steering feel. The car was also a popular target for thieves, leading to high insurance costs. The RS 1800 replaced the RS Turbo in 1992 and featured a 130 horsepower 1.8 ZTEC engine. The Fiesta Mark IV was launched in October 1995 and became the UK's best-selling car for the next 2 years. It was available as a van and sedan alongside the more popular hatchback. It had a revised interior and exterior, but had similar dimensions to the previous model. There was a range of ZTEC SE engines, the diesel Endura DE and the Endura E engines, which were updated versions of the longer-running Valencia engine. For the first time, the Fiesta was sold in South Africa after it arrived in 1997. The Puma was also based on this generation of Fiesta, but instead it used a 1.7 VCT engine. In 1999, the Fiesta received a facelift with new edge styling to look like the brand new Ford Focus. This generation was the last to be built in Dagenham, with the production line being closed in 2002 at the end of this Fiesta's European lifespan. This Fiesta was the biggest global success as its production in other countries far outlasted its time in European markets. It was produced until 2011 in South Africa and India and up until 2013 in Brazil. It was also rebadged as the Mazda 121 for some markets and was sold in China under the name of the Landwind CV7 and Chang'an CV7. The Mark V was unveiled in April 2002. Production began in Valencia, and this was the first Fiesta to be sold in Asia and Oceania as it replaced the Festiva. Partially due to this is the best-selling generation of Fiestas ever. It had a similar range of engines to its predecessor, with a range of Endura E, CTEC SE and Duratec engines. There was also a 1.6 Duratorque engine built in collaboration with PSA. A Fiesta saloon named the Icon was launched in some markets. This generation of Fiestas was produced until 2011, but production ran until 2010 in Mexico and 2014 in Brazil. At the 2004 Geneva Motor Show, the Fiesta ST was unveiled. It had a 2-litre Duratec engine with 150 horsepower. It was a popular hot hatch with alloy wheels, new bodywork and leather seats. It was also sold in Australia under the XR4 name to keep in line with other performance Ford models sold there. In late 2005, the Fiesta received a facelift. There were new bumpers, lights, door mirrors and more paint options. There was a revised interior with new instruments. There was also new technology such as Bluetooth, a trip computer, automatic headlights and MP3 connectivity. Sales increased by 25% due to these changes, and the Fiesta reclaimed its title of the UK's best-selling Super Mini for 2006 and 2007. Mountune performance upgrades were available for STs, with power being increased to 163 or 182 horsepower. There was also an ST500 model which had alloy wheels, red brake calipers and carbon fibre trim to go with leather heated seats. It cost £15,000 and only 500 were made. The final Fiestas were made in 2008 as special ZTEC Blue versions with blue seats, alloy wheels, a Sony CD player and premium speakers. Later in its production, voice control and a technology pack were included. The 6th generation Fiesta was shown off as a concept at the 2007 Frankfurt Motor Show. It used the new Ford Global B-Car platform, which was developed alongside Mazda. Production began in Cologne in 2008 and in Valencia in 2009. The Verve concepts were very different from the previous generation, using Ford's kinetic design styling, which was first displayed on the S-Max. The concept had a panoramic glass roof, LED lights, and an integrated spoiler. A later concept had an altered front grille to meet Ford's North American design quota. The Fiestas had a new multifunction display, as well as keyless entry, a capless refueling system, and ambient lighting. The Fiesta received a facelift in 2012 for the European market with a new trapezoidal grille and some technology from other Ford models. The Fiesta ST went on sale in 2013 alongside the facelifted range. It had a larger spoiler, a new diffuser, and 17-inch alloy wheels, as well as Recaro seats inside. With a 1.6 litre turbocharged Ford EcoBoost engine, the ST provided good performance without sacrificing fuel economy. Bearing this in mind, and with 180 horsepower and 0 to 60 time of less than 7 seconds, it is easy to see why this car is so popular. It won Top Gear's Car of the Year award in 2013. The ST200 was a limited edition model in 2016 with grey paint and new 17-inch alloy wheels. It had Recaro bucket seats and illuminated tread plates, as well as increased power and torque vectoring. On another note, Ford also launched the Econetic in 2009, which used the Duratorque diesel engine, but had reduced weight and better aerodynamics to achieve a fuel economy of 78 mpg and only release 98 grams per kilometre of carbon dioxide. This generation of Fiestas was another success, as they sold over 450,000 of them in Europe alone in 2009 and averaged over 300,000 in European sales across its lifespan. The 7th generation Fiesta was announced in November 2016, was intended to be bigger, more spacious, and safer and more efficient. A crossover style was introduced called the Fiesta Active. There was also the addition of the more luxurious Vignale. The Fiesta was no longer sold in the Americas or Asia, and only the ST is sold in Australia. The new ST was announced in 2017 with 200 horsepower, 1.5 litre turbocharged EcoBoost engine. For the first time, there is also an optional limited slip differential. It won Top Gear's Hot Hatch and Car of the Year in 2018. There was also a limited edition version in 2019, known as the Performance Edition, with LED headlights, an upgraded sound system, and the Performance Pack. It also featured lower suspension and lighter alloy wheels. In 2022, the whole range got a facelift with new front bumpers and more safety features. Some models also got new LED headlights and a fully digital instrument cluster. This is the last generation of Fiestas, with production ending sometime in June 2023 to make way for new electric vehicles. Its replacement will be an all-electric version of the Puma crossover, which will begin production at the Cologne plant, where the Fiesta was built for nearly half a century. The fact that Ford aren't directly replacing the Fiesta clearly shows they are looking to move in a different direction from small hatchbacks into crossovers. The new Puma will be based on the Volkswagen MEB platform, as will another car that is supposed to replace the Fiesta, the Explorer. This is a fully electric SUV based on the same platform, which shares a lot of parts with the VW ID.4. Both are compact electric crossovers, which shows the demand for hatchbacks like the Fiesta has clearly fallen. Ford are being strategic in bringing in the all-electric Puma, as it has outsold the Fiesta so far this year. It is one of the UK's best-selling cars in 2023. Perhaps Ford have lost their way a bit with hatchbacks. Whilst the Vauxhall Corsa is still selling incredibly well, it is in the top 3 for electric car sales, the Fiesta has been outside the top 10. The facelift last year slightly boosted sales, but the writing has been on the wall for some time, and Ford is to focus on more profitable models as it goes through this transition period into more sustainable technologies. When the Focus goes extinct in 2025, it really will be the end of an era for Ford, as 2 of its most iconic models go out of production, with no replacement. Perhaps one day there will be an electric equivalent if there is demand for one, of course. Despite looking like EVs will be best suited to smaller cars, there only seems to be demand for large and more luxurious electric cars at the moment, which may put an end towards any chance of an electric Fiesta replacement sometime in the future. But for now, we have to reflect upon the lifespan of the Fiesta. It is a car that has dominated European and especially British roads for so long. It is incredible how Ford have managed to keep one model so relevant across a period of great change, especially in the motoring industry. Their ability to adapt the Fiesta to what people want across the last 47 years is impressive, and only environmental laws and the revolution of SUVs and crossovers have caused the death of such an iconic car. Times have changed though, and after an incredible run of becoming Ford's third best selling car ever, and the UK's most sold vehicle ever, it really is time to say farewell to the Fiesta.